The children of Harry Potter and Ginny Weasley. James Sirius Potter arrived first and immediately confirmed everyone's worst fears. Loud, fearless, and proudly allergic to rules. James inherited Harry's disregard for danger and Ginny's competitive fire. Canon paints him as a prank lover with confidence to spare. The kind of kid who gets detention before breakfast and waves while doing it. He doesn't try to cause chaos simply follows him, impressed by his commitment. If Hogwarts has a most likely to restart the Marauder Era award, James wins it annually without attending the ceremony. Then came Albus Severus Potter, and the universe quietly panicked. Quiet, thoughtful, emotionally complicated. Sorted into Slytherin just to really upset tradition. Albus represents the post-war wizarding world's biggest shock. Not all heroes' children want to be heroes. He struggles with identity, legacy, and the terrifying realization that names don't guarantee greatness or happiness. And finally, Lily Luna Potter, named after Harry's mother and Luna Lovegood, which already tells you everything. She's the youngest and somehow the most dangerous of all. Why? Because she's observant. Lily blends Ginny's confidence with Luna Lovegood-approved intuition. She watches chaos unfold, understands it instantly, and somehow walks away untouched. The kind of witch who smiles sweetly while quietly rewriting the entire situation in her favor. The children of Ron Weasley and Hermione Granger. When Ron Weasley and Hermione Granger started a family, the wizarding world sighed in relief. Surely these children would be balanced, responsible, normal. They were wrong. Deeply wrong. Enter Rose Granger-Weasley, the eldest and, let's be honest, the most intimidating 11-year-old Hogwarts has seen since a certain bushy-haired girl corrected a professor on day one. Rose is canonically brilliant, confident, and absolutely aware of it. She inherited Hermione's intellect, Ron's competitiveness, and none of their patience for nonsense. Rose doesn't break rules for fun, she breaks them strategically, usually with footnotes. She's ambitious, sharp, and terrifyingly competent, the kind of student who makes professors proud while also making them slightly nervous. If Rose says, "I've calculated the odds," you listen. Then there's Hugo Granger-Weasley, and this is where things get weird. Hugo is quieter, more awkward, and noticeably less interested in living up to the Granger-Weasley legacy. While Rose charges forward like a well-organized spellbook with opinions, Hugo lags behind, observing, thinking, and probably wondering why everyone expects greatness before breakfast. Canon hints paint Hugo as gentler and more reserved, less top of the class and more "please stop staring at me, I just want lunch," which frankly is a reasonable response to being born into wizarding royalty. Together these two represent a fascinating evolution of the post-war wizarding world. One child driven to excel, one child quietly opting out of the pressure. Final verdict, Rose will run the ministry someday. Hugo will survive it, and Ron, still confused how this happened. The child of Draco Malfoy and Astoria Greengrass. For centuries, the Malfoy family stood for three things: money, power, and making everyone else deeply uncomfortable. Then the Second Wizarding War happened. The ideology collapsed, and Draco Malfoy did something truly shocking. He changed. Enter Scorpius Malfoy. Scorpius is the only child of Draco and Astoria Greengrass, and he represents the Malfoys' most radical transformation yet. A genuinely kind, awkward, emotionally literate Slytherin. Yes, that sentence is canon. Despite the name, Scorpius is nothing like the Malfoys of old. He's polite, thoughtful, slightly anxious, and completely uninterested in blood purity nonsense. Astoria, who rejected pureblood supremacy herself, raised him with values that directly contradict everything the Malfoy name once stood for, earning her plenty of side-eye from old families clutching their pearls. Sorted into Slytherin, Scorpius becomes living proof that the house isn't about evil. It's about ambition and cleverness. He's academically sharp, emotionally sensitive, and painfully self-aware of his family's history, which is rough considering half of Hogwarts assumes he's either secretly evil or about to resurrect something dark. He is not. He's just nervous. Scorpius also forms an unexpectedly strong bond with Albus Potter, creating the most ironic friendship Hogwarts has ever seen since, well, their parents. The heir of the Dark Lord's right-hand man and the son of the Chosen One, bonding over shared isolation and mutual disappointment and expectations. History hates how poetic this is. The children of George Weasley and Angelina Johnson. Before the kids, quick context because this one matters. George Weasley survived the war, the loss of his twin, and the strange silence that followed. He never stopped being funny, but the humor changed. Angelina Johnson met George years earlier at Hogwarts on the Quidditch pitch, when laughter was easy. After the war, when it wasn't, she stayed. She knew how to steady chaos without killing it. They married quietly after the war, which brings us to a child named Fred. Fred Weasley II walks into the world carrying a name that that makes adults pause for exactly half a second before smiling. And somehow, he lives up to it. Canon confirms he has the charm, the timing, and that unmistakable Weasley gift for lifting a room when it needed it most. At Hogwarts, Fred is the kid who makes people laugh during the worst weeks of term. Not to show off, but because he knows laughter is survival. That's not rebellion. That's emotional intelligence wrapped in a punchline. Potterheads love him because he doesn't replace anyone. He honors a legacy by continuing it forward. And then there's Roxanne. Quieter, sharper, watching everything. Roxanne proves very quickly that not all Weasleys need to be loud to be dangerous. She's strategic, observant, and far more clever than people expect. If Fred brings the spark, Roxanne controls the fuse. Professors worry less about explosions and more about how she somehow never gets caught at all. Together, Fred and Roxanne represent a new Weasley era. Still funny, still bold, but rooted in something deeper and harder to stop. The children of Bill Weasley and Fleur Delacour. When Bill Weasley married Fleur Delacour, the Wizarding world knew one thing for certain. Their children were going to be unfairly impressive. And yes, annoyingly so. This household is a chaotic blend of Gringotts curse-breaking French magical elegance, partial Vila charm, and Weasley stubbornness, which means their kids don't just grow up magical, they grow up extra. First comes Victoire Weasley, and let's not pretend subtlety was ever an option. Her name literally means victory, because apparently surviving a war wasn't dramatic enough. Victoire is confident, graceful, and radiates the kind of presence that makes rooms quieter when she enters. Canon confirms she inherits some Vila charm, which means Hogwarts was never emotionally prepared for her. She doesn't try to stand out, she just does. Then there's Dominique Weasley, the middle child and certified wild card. Less polished than Victoire, more impulsive, and almost certainly the one who experiments with spells before reading instructions. Dominique feels like the kid who laughs first, regrets later, and somehow still lands on her feet. If something mysterious explodes near Shell Cottage, no one asks questions. And finally, Louis Weasley, the youngest and the sleeper threat. Quieter, more observant, and less obviously dramatic. Louis has strong watching everything, judging silently energy. Raised among powerful witches and wizards, he's likely far more capable than he lets on. The kind of kid who surprises everyone in third year and never explains how. The children of Percy Weasley and Aubrey Weasley. If you think future witches and wizards automatically means fireworks and detentions, welcome to the rarest Hogwarts phenomenon of all. Percy Weasley's children. First, Molly II, named after the family's emotional center, which is either incredibly sweet or an immediate sign this child will have 47 relatives projecting expectations onto her before she even buys a wand. Molly II feels like the kid who's naturally capable, reliable, and quietly confident. The type to get perfect energy early, not because she wants power, but because she hates chaos and can't relax until everyone has eaten and nobody's cursed. If she's anything like her namesake, she'll be fierce when it counts and terrifyingly calm while doing it. Then there's Lucy, shorter name, sharper vibe. Lucy sounds like the one who looks like she follows the rules, and then asks one question that makes a professor realize they've just been outsmarted by an 11-year-old. She's likely more curious, more playful, maybe even the sneaky one of the two, but in a Percy-approved way, like, I broke the rule, but I have a written justification. Together, Molly II and Lucy are the Weasley legacy in a new form. Less explosive, more composed, but still unmistakably brave. The child of Remus Lupin and Nymphadora Tonks. If Hogwarts ever had a student whose very existence feels like a quiet miracle, it's Teddy Lupin. Teddy is born into loss before he's born into Hogwarts. His parents, Remus Lupin and Nymphadora Tonks, die fighting in the Battle of Hogwarts, leaving behind a son who grows up in a world they helped save, but never got to live in. That alone makes Teddy one of the most emotionally significant future wizards of the post-war era. He's raised by his grandmother, Andromeda Tonks, and guided closely by his godfather, Harry Potter, which means Teddy grows up surrounded by love, stories, and a very clear understanding of what his parents stood for. Not fame, not glory, but kindness, courage, and choosing to fight even when it's terrifying. Magically, Teddy is fascinating. Like his mother, he's a metamorph magus, able to change his appearance at will, most famously his hair, which shifts color with his mood. Hogwarts doesn't just get a new student, it gets a walking emotional weather report. Blue hair? He's calm. Pink? Happy. Something alarming? Someone please check on him. Despite being the son of a werewolf and a war hero aura, Canon presents Teddy as warm, affectionate, and emotionally open. He's the kind of kid who hugs freely, loves deeply, and doesn't pretend he's fine when he's not. That alone makes him quietly revolutionary in the wizarding world. The children of Luna Lovegood and Rolf Scamander. For a long time, the wizarding world was absolutely convinced Luna Lovegood would end up with Neville Longbottom. He liked her. We saw it. The looks, the awkward hope, the quiet bravery. Honestly, once again, Neville could have been the chosen one. Again. But J.K. Rowling had other plans. Luna married Rolf Scamander, a magizoologist who studies creatures most people refuse to make eye contact with, which frankly makes perfect sense. Luna didn't need someone to protect her. She needed someone curious enough to walk beside her into the strange. Their marriage is quiet, unconventional, and built on shared wonder rather than expectation. Together they raise Lorcan and Lysander Scamander in a home filled with magical creatures, unanswered questions, and the radical belief that being different isn't something to fix. No pressure, no comparisons, definitely no try to be normal. Naturally, Hogwarts is not ready. Lorcan and Lysander arrive as twins, which already puts the castle on alert. But these aren't loud twins, they're observant, the kind who stare too long, ask one question that derails the entire lesson, then wander off because they've spotted something no one else noticed. Raised by the most perceptive witch of her generation and a man who wrestles magical creatures for fun. The twins grow up fluent in empathy, emotional intelligence, and identifying whatever just brushed past your ankle. One twin feels outward, the other inward. Which is which? They switch on purpose. In a post-war world full of scars, Lorcan and Lysander represent something rare. Children who don't carry trauma, they carry wonder. Now, Luna says you're ready for the next lesson. All 12 richest wizarding families in Harry Potter Explained. Click now before Luna gets distracted by something only she can see.